of the NFL podcast. It's week 14. I am your host, Patio Joe, and I am joined once again by my man, Matt. You can follow him on Twitter at Scribeezy. What's going on, Matt? I hear we got a little bit of a sweat going on for you tonight in this end of this game, trying to get in the end zone here with the Cowboys. They just threw Cobb, so if you get a touchdown from Jarwin, you might get some good money. How you doing?
I would be doing better if the Cowboys weren't kicking a field goal right now.
Really? That's what I'm on a little bit of a delay, so I'm not.
It's all good.
Yeah. They're trying to let's kick a field goal and then somehow miraculously get the first onside kick of this entire year, and then be able to miraculously then throw a Hail Mary pass to which catch it in the game. That's exactly how it always works.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think there's been one recovered onside kick all year, so good luck with that. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was pretty good. I honestly think I could have won if Jarwin caught a touchdown. I think I could have taken first, and I would have taken it solo. Nobody has my lineup.
No, well, probably did well anyways in the league crashing. So yeah, my Thanksgiving was really well. On Saturday night, I was officiating the high school number 1 versus number 2 in the nation high school game, which was an amazing game between Mater Dei and St. John Bosco. Mater Dei was up 20-5 in the second quarter, and John Bosco came back and won 39-34. The number 2 team beat the number 1 team. It was pretty damn cool. There are a bunch of highlight videos on YouTube of the game. It was a great comeback. People were saying it was one of the best high school games ever. One of the quarterbacks is going to Clemson. The other one's going to Alabama. It was a great experience, and there's some good shots of yours truly. So, anyways, let's get on to this slate, which I think this slate is a little bit more difficult because there's no more buys. We have one Thursday night game. We have a Sunday night game. We have the Monday night game. There's no Thanksgiving game. So it's like we have 13 games. It's a big slate. It's one of the biggest we've had probably since like week 3 or 4. And I don't think that there's like one game in particular that the public is going to flock to. You agree or no?
I don't think so. And I mean, yeah, like you said, I think just in general with having more games on the slate, it's really just going to spread ownership out, just make things a little bit more difficult. So it'll take a little bit more work for us to dive in and kind of figure out what's going on. I mean, every quarterback site that I use for projections has every quarterback on DraftKings projected to be under 10% owned.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's just kind of the slate that we're dealing with. So,
Speaking of quarterbacks, why don't you start it off? Who are you looking at up top and in the middle for value, maybe for cash games, stuff like that, as pertains to DK?
So on DraftKings, I'm looking at Deshaun Watson, Matt Ryan, and I'm also looking at Jameis, just because every week I look at him, even though he didn't really do amazing last week. And then I also have a ton of interest in Ryan Tannehill. He's been a god. Who are you liking?
At quarterback this week, you're right. It can go a little bit everywhere. I think that up top, Lamar is just too expensive. I think the guy that kind of slots in with the good matchup, depending on how you want to play it, Kirk Cousins. The route tree for Cousins is, you pretty much know who's he going to go to. So I like that. Sam Darnold, 7,700, another good matchup against Miami. And, I just think guys like Mahomes, and you can always play. Josh Allen makes for an interesting GPP play, I think, this week. He really proved that he can be with the big boys, I think, last week against Dallas. It surprised me. I was floored, to be honest with you. So the thing about this week is that I think that there's some really, really cheap value at some other places that I think that where you're playing GPPs or not, if you wanted to fit in one of the high-priced quarterbacks, it's going to be pretty easy. Now, it's just whether or not you want to go 9K up to Lamar. But as for quarterback, it's kind of like I said, like you said, it's really spread out this week. I like Tannehill, been good, but I think a lot of the public will just go to Henry because he's been the play, and his numbers in December is just unreal. Some other guys that you kind of can be looking at. I think that another guy, Kobe Brissett, on the road against Tampa. I know they're coming off a good game, but Nick Foles, you know what? We should stop. Like, Nick Foles, never again. Like, you're a Philly fan, right? Right? He probably the most just amazing, like, peculiar athlete in the history of football, in the history of the NFL. Like, how he's more peculiar than Eli. Okay? Like, Eli at least played the entire season, had like a good 2 playoff runs. Like, Foles can only play in Philly. Like, if I'm Nick Foles, I'm like, look, I'm just going to move back to Philly. I'll be your second string quarterback, your third string quarterback. Like, that's all he can do. I don't get it. I can't explain it. But he had the best matchup last week and absolutely shit on himself. Literally, he was cuckolded by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Literally, the Buccaneers went into his home and basically had sex with his wife. He just let him. He had the easiest matchup, and he just let him. Good job, Nick Foles. Good job. All right. I mean,
Bucks the elite though. That's like 2 weeks in a row.
Well, yeah.
Big Dick Nick, and then they shut down Bryant the week before in Atlanta.
Yeah, I don't get it, but it's like, so I don't know. This week, Brissett, I don't mind it. I think Matt Ryan also is a good pick, but and Kirk Cousins too. I think those are the guys I'm going to be looking at for cash games. For GPPs, Lamar Jackson, great GPP play.
Always.
I think he's like the top, I think, in that aspect. And I think if you wanted to go with Fitzpatrick or Donald or even, Derek Carr, really cheap against, Tennessee. They're at home in a must-win situation. It could be decent too for GPPs. Running back, question of the week. Is it a CMAC week or not? Personally, last week it was the first time that I put CMAC as a core play, and it came back to bite me in the ass. Even though I've been playing him, so I'm not like putting him down, but I feel like maybe the bloom is off the rose a little bit with him. And I don't know, like I just with all the turmoil in Carolina this week, the coach being fired, I don't know how they're going to respond. They're on the road against Atlanta, team that he still like put up like 30 points against 2 weeks ago. Is it a CMAC week, or are we paying down for other options?
I mean, for me, last week I got bit pretty hard by him, but Atlanta's definitely been much better against running backs. They're not like the Atlanta from the past where you could just whoever was playing against them, like almost like tight ends against Arizona this year, just lock and load whoever it is. That used to be running backs against Atlanta, but it just hasn't been like that. So I don't know. I think there's a bunch of other guys that I'm kind of looking at, like Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb. I'm kind of a little bit more interested in them because in the spots that they're in, they both have pretty high ceilings. That I mean, obviously nobody has a ceiling as high as CMAC, but those two I have tons of interest in.
Mm-hmm. Two guys that I'm looking at, honestly, I wouldn't play them together because they're in the same game, but they're both featuring pretty good matchups. We've got Leonard Fournette, volume play at home against the Chargers. And then on the flip side, I think that this Mel Gordon blow-up spot against the Jags. I think the Chargers are going to try and run the ball. I think it's going to be a very sloppy game. Both teams are going nowhere. Gordon needs to get right. I like Gordon on Sunday. I think one of the highest owned running backs on the slate is going to be Benny Snell on FanDuel with no Connor. It's basically lock in Snell. Great matchup on the road in a paced game where they're going to be running more plays. I like Benny Snell as a kind of a lock. I also think another great play, might even play them both if you're going to play with McCaffrey, is Devonta Freeman. We haven't talked about him all year. He's got the Panthers. The Panthers literally have been the most giving team on the ground in the past few weeks. Redskins ran for over 200 yards against them. Aaron Jones ran over them a few weeks ago. I just think Devonta Freeman at 6K with the upside that he gives, I like him at his price and such. Pretty much anywhere else down below, you just don't really know, like the role. Like for instance, I think the biggest fish play of the week is Raheem Mostert or Darius Geis. I think those two plays, like Mostert more than Geis to me. Like Mostert, he got hot. They gave him a hot hand, but can you really tell me he's going to get 12 carries or 13 carries? He doesn't get 5 or 6 yards in the first carries. They might flip in Coleman. Now Breda's coming back, and it's a tough matchup against New Orleans. So I am totally fading Mostert. Geis, he's kind of interesting to me because you saw him almost wanting to take that backfield, and it's like, God, I feel like next year that's going to be his backfield. I don't mind him as a GBP option, but to me, it's Snell and Devonta Freeman as like the down low guys, pair with one of those guys up top. I know he got a little bit banged up, and I think just because he's banged up, it's the reason why we're not all in. But Dal Cook.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only thing. That'll drive the ownership down, and obviously he's an elite play if he's gonna play normal amount of snaps. But I just worry about the re-injury, and obviously they're still in playoff contention. So interesting there. It's definitely interesting with Geis on DraftKings versus FanDuel because he's only 4,900 on DraftKings. So you can swallow that a little bit more than the 63 on FanDuel. Plus, did you watch him last week?
He looked good.
He looked ridiculous. He single-handedly won that game for the Redskins, pretty much.
Yeah, and with Cook, let's just tell everybody right now, if for some reason, and it would not shock me, because all week they've been saying, "Oh, I'm playing." It wouldn't shock me if for some reason Saturday night they say he's not going to play. It wouldn't shock me. So if that were to happen, Alexander Madison will become the 100% highest owned player of the entire season if that happens.
Oh, yeah.
So get him in your lineups if for some reason Dal Cook is out. Moving on to receiver. This week at receiver, it's a little bit interesting. I don't think that there's, this standout. This is who you have to have. Obviously, we can always play Michael Thomas. I think Devontae Adams is in a great spot too. Hopkins, and Tyreek Hill, I don't think is going to be shadowed by Stephon Gilmore. Stephon Gilmore usually covers the taller receiver of the two because he's more of a bigger guy. So Tyreek Hill is kind of interesting to me, but Stephon Diggs, assuming he's not going to get Darius Slay, which I think he's going to, that kind of pushes me off of him. Kenny Golladay is in a nut spot if you only trust the quarterback. Devontae Parker is 7,200. Everybody sit down. Believe that. So I think they're in some good spot.
About time.
Yeah. The guy, honestly, that I think receiver this week is kind of open in my mind. Kind of like wide open. I don't necessarily know really who's going to be the 100% like chalk. However, I have a guy that's returning from injury, and both games that he played this year, he got 8 targets. And I don't know if you know who I'm talking about. He's a rookie. He is going to be taking T.Y. Hilton's spot. And we have no Eric Ebron. We have just Mr. Zach Pascal on one side, and we have Mr. Paris Campbell on the other side. At 4,800 for GPPs, I think I'm going to have him on every GPP lineup. If they're playing Tampa, number one against the receivers, and the route tree, it's going to be basically Pascal, Doyle, and Campbell. That's it. There's nobody else. Everybody else is hurt. So to me, 4,800. I'm sure he's probably min price on DK. Paris Campbell. He had 8 targets both games that he played this year. He's been hurt the other time. So he's finally back. I love him. 4,800. You'll be able to fit in to the running backs that you want at that point. So that's my, GPP, or even, I'm even like, you're even in a bind for season long, and you want to throw in a dart and nobody's going to play. That's the guy, guys. I'm telling you, there's a lot of things lining up. Matchup, there's going to be opportunity, and a decent quarterback throwing to him. So, who do you like at receiver this week?
I mean, I really like Tyreek Hill because he's projected for like no ownership anywhere because of the matchup. But his 2 games against the Patriots in the regular season, 2017, 2018. 2017, 8 targets, 7 catches, 133 yards, and 1 touchdown. Last season, 12 targets, 7 receptions, 142 yards, 3 touchdowns. So I don't know if people are overlooking that, but Tyreek Hill owns the Patriots. Now, I know they had Kareem Hunt in both of those games, and he also owned them, but I love him if he's going to be under 5% or under 10% owned. So I'm really liking him this week. Devontae Adams, I'm interested in again just because Rodgers peppers him, and there's not really anybody else on the team that catch the ball. And they're projected on a slate that where really there's no games with a total projected to be over 50 or over 48.5. The Packers are projected to score 27 points. So I definitely like the idea of going to them for some offense. But I do think that the Redskins will keep the game a little bit closer than people think just because of their new little like running game identity. And that's really just kind of the weakness of the Packers. So if they get the ball first, the Redskins get the ball first, they could eat up some clock, just kind of like what they did against the what's it called, against Carolina last week, and keep that game close. And if that happens, I think Devontae could have a pretty good game. So, and then DJ Moore is just like a lock, automatic every single week. I know his quarterback's kind of regressing, but Moore's just been automatic, and he's starting to catch touchdowns, 3 in the last 2 games. So, and he's still, I mean, 7,000 on DraftKings. That's a lot, I guess. That puts him as like the, I don't know, like 9th most expensive receiver, but you could still get him in. And the same thing goes for Devontae Parker at 6,900. Both of them, I love them both. They both are easily the favorite target of the quarterback throwing to them. And it's not like either of them have difficult matchups. So I'm definitely going to be looking there. Devontae's only projected for about 7% ownership on the site that I use. So we'll see.
Yeah, I see it. And, I'm with it with everything you say. DJ Moore. Another thing about DJ Moore is that, well, obviously we're going to get to tight end, but with Greg Olsen being out, that's probably going to lead to a few targets also. Another guy, Julian Edelman, I think for cash, there's like lock it in. You want somebody on the Patriots side. He's going to be coming up against Kendall Fuller, who's allowing a QB rating of 132 this season when targeted, which is the second highest rate among qualifying slot corners. So I think he's going to be an awesome matchup to exploit, and probably what Brady is going to go to. Because you got to think in that game, I have a feeling, we didn't really talk about any of the runners because we don't know how they're going to run the ball, but I feel like you can exploit KC through the ground, their defense. So I feel like the Patriots are going to try and run the ball, do short passing like they normally do. Don't try and get in a shootout with them because they won't beat them in a shootout. So to me, I feel like that makes Edelman for about 10 targets, and Sony Michel running the ball. Like what you said about DJ Moore and Devontae Parker, they've just been really safe all year. And obviously, Zach Pascal, we talked about Campbell, but Pascal on the other end, he's the number one right now. Jarvis Landry, you also can't get what he's doing. Moving on to tight end, we brought it up a little bit. Greg Olson's out with concussion. I mean, Ian Thomas is min price on FanDuel. Going to be the only tight end. Me, in cash games, you just go with Ian Thomas, lock it in. Don't worry about it. There's nobody else in that great of a matchup to where you absolutely have to have him. All the other big tight ends are in really, really bad matchups. Kelsey against New England, you got to feel that they're going to shut him down. Kittle has a problem. Hooper's coming back. I guess Hooper you look at, but I'm not. And then so you go down to, I think in the mid-range, you got a couple guys in the mid-range like Jack Doyle. Obviously, he's another one of the route tree. It's going to be Campbell, Doyle, and it's going to be Pascal. And then Vance McDonald, tight ends against Arizona. There it is. So he would be the chalk to me if it wasn't for Ian Thomas at 4K being the starter and just locking him in for 6 to 8 targets on Sunday, and hopefully you'll get in. One other guy you will have to look at. He's 4,800, but you look at Kyle Rudolph's numbers since Adam Thielen has been out: 13, 15, 17. That's on FanDuel. He is more than a $4,800 tight end. And with Adam Thielen out another week, and with perhaps Dal Cook being a little bit not what he is, and Slay on Diggs, Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose. I'm telling you, it's Kyle Rudolph week, maybe. He's been hot. And he's been playing well. So to me, Kyle Rudolph at 4,800 is way, way underpriced. I just don't think you need to pay up a tight end this week. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if I'm going to go to Kittle just because I think he's matchup proof and he can win the matchup against the Saints regardless. The other people that I'm interested in are Doyle, obviously, and then like you said, Ian Thomas. He's only 2,500, so pretty much have to lock him in. I'm honestly considering playing Thomas and McDonald both together in my cash lineup, just because the two of them combined cost $6,800. So that's pretty much nothing. That's probably that's cheaper than the price of Devontae Parker now. So I'm definitely gonna consider that, but Thomas would be an immediate lock for me. Is Olsen confirmed out?
Yes. Concussion. He's done. Yeah. So
Thomas is confirmed lock.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too easy to get everybody else in there. You know?
Higbee last week, that was like the most obvious play ever. In some of the low dollar tournaments, he was only like 30-something% owned. I couldn't believe it. The higher dollar ones, he was in like the 60s, 70s. But yeah, I think Ian Thomas will be extremely highly owned. Kind of hoping that they do announce on Saturday, like you said, that Dalvin Cook doesn't play. Just because I want to play the cheap Madison, and they looked like the exact same player out there. Kind of right?
You're right. No, it's uncanny how they look almost exactly the same. He's like a little bit shorter.
Oh, it's bizarre, but yeah, they're both pretty solid. But yeah, I'm kind of hoping that Devon doesn't play. Rudolph, I'm not as interested in on DraftKings just because he's 4,400 here, so they kind of priced him like where he probably should be in like the relative FanDuel salary range. But 4,400 might be a little bit steep for him, especially since Irv Smith is only 3,300. So I might lean that way. It's all really going to depend on the ownership. But I really don't even think ownership's going to matter too much this week.
No, it won't. It's a 13 game slate, and with not like one like game, you might have individual players that are going to be like highly owned, like Ian Thomas is going to be highly owned, like that. But like sort of games, like I just don't. I'm not going to really worry about it. Moving on to defense, the Atlanta Falcons at home against Kyle Allen Panthers. We talk about this game. It's almost like 2 weeks ago they were on the road, or 3 weeks ago they were on the road at Carolina, and they got put up 26. So now they're at home in the dome, and like we said, we don't know how these Panthers are going to react after Ron Rivera being fired. From all accounts that I know of, he was very, very, very well liked players coach.
Yeah.
So I don't know how these guys are going to respond. It's a crapshoot. So I feel like the Falcons, you're going to go dumpster diving all the way in the bottom, is a way to go. It's kind of funny. The Panthers were 4,700 a week ago, and now they're 3,500 because they got totally, crushed at home. But like the defense is up top this week. Packers at 5K. I'm just not doing it. I just think that they're going to run the ball and they're going to be game control. What about the Vikings at home against Lions and David Bow, or is it Bow? And
Blow.
Yeah. Wow, it's David Blau. It's not Blow. Kind of interesting. I think defense is kind of just interesting.
Was job this weekend?
Yeah. So, like, to me, who are you looking at defense? I don't feel like defense is like a lock-in. I think the Texans are decent at home against Drew Lock and the Broncos at 4,600. But who are you looking at?
All right. So I like the Jets at 3,200 against the Dolphins just because pretty cheap. 3,000 for Atlanta is awesome. I'm glad that you mentioned them because if Kyle Allen's going to keep turning the ball over, then whoever's playing them is going to obviously benefit. So I definitely like that. Also, kind of interested in the Steelers defense just because of how quick they are. And I just think that Murray's going to have a pretty tough time against them.
Mm-hmm.
So from paying up, going, they're like top. I think they're second most expensive defense. No,
Mm-hmm.
fourth most expensive. So them, and then I don't know what the deal with the Browns is, man. They keep just disappointing in really good spots.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. All right.
I'm gonna lock in Atlanta. Call it a day.
Yeah. All right. It's not even a bad thing because in the dome they usually play better too. So I can't see Kyle Allen throwing for 4 touchdowns either and just like breaking it. And 3,500, you got to figure a few sacks, maybe a pick or two. They're going to at least get you 6 points or something, something like that. Let's move on to our picks of the week. Best picks of the
nailed them last week. I said
the
Bengals money line. I said the Rams were going to win by at least 10. You said the Dolphins were going to cover. They did a little bit more than that.
Yeah, they won. Yeah,
that's
right.
That sucked. I was on the airplane coming back from Philly, following along, and I saw we went up 28-14. For some reason, the games on the plane, I was on DirecTV. The games were the Jets, Bengals, and the I don't even remember what the other. It wasn't the Eagles game. Oh, it was the Giants Packers. So I couldn't watch the Eagles Dolphins, and I was just following along on my phone, and I'm like, wait, what? And I just keep seeing Devontae Parker this, Devontae Parker that, and for some reason I took Devontae Parker out of my Carson Wentz stacked lineup, and if he was in it, I don't even know how much money I would have won last weekend. So that kind
Yeah, I had Parker in my initial cash game build.
of.
You know, you just like kind of like boom, 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 and then like kind of move things around and stuff like that. And I took him out.
Dude, I took him out for the fucking parking. That was just not the best move on my part, but you live and you learn.
All right, we got a question here in the chat. We got Ryan Tannehill, or Kirk Cousins this week.
Damn.
They're both pretty safe. I would say in cash, you have the money Cousins because he's at home, but like it's weird because I see Henry just taking over this game and running the ball, you know, in Oakland and taking it over, and you don't know how much you're going to get from Tannehill. With Cousins, I think they're going to get him the passing a little bit more, even if it's to Cook and to Madison out of the backfield, because you know Cook gets like 8 or 10 targets a week. So to me, I feel like Cousins is maybe a safer play, and I think if you're maybe doing a GPP hoping for the Raiders to play ball on Sunday, and then Tannehill has to throw a little bit, then I think Tannehill's a better play for GPPs. So I hope that answered the question. All right, let's move on to our best 3 picks of the week against the spread or whatever. And just to let you know, producer man, we are going to be done in about 5 minutes. So I hope you're watching. So you lead us off this week. Where are you going?
All right, so I'm going to start on something that I was kind of talking about a little bit before, but I think the Redskins will keep that game a little bit closer. 13 seems a little steep. The Green Bay could obviously cover, but I like the Redskins to cover plus 13.
Very nice. I'm going to take the Bengals to cover. I'm taking the 7 points on the road against a division foe. With Andy Dalton's not a primetime game. It's not on television. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like they're going to keep it close, actually. And the Browns can't get it out of their own way right now. So I will take the Andy Dalton and the Bengals points.
Yeah, I like it. That's what we do on this show. We take the Eagles, and we get it right. So the next one for me, I like Pittsburgh minus 2.5 at Arizona. They could in previous years, like when they had Brown and they had Bell, they could potentially disappoint in this spot just because they could overlook them. But this is like a very different Steelers team just because of all the adversity that they've had to overcome this year with their top stars leaving and their quarterback getting hurt and their first, second, and third string running backs getting hurt. They've had to deal with a ton. So I think 2.5 points is almost like disrespectful to how well they've been playing.
I'm going to take the over in the Indy Tampa Bay game. It started at like 50.5 and it went down to like, I'm seeing 47 and 46.5. And I just feel like there's going to be more points scored than that. Even though Indianapolis likes to go a little slower, Tampa could go a little faster. And I just think Brissett's going to have to throw more. And I'm going to get the over in that game.
Yeah, I like that. And my last one is I think the Giants are going to cover 9.5 on Philly. Weird, but for some reason, Eli really keeps the games pretty close. Last year, towards the end of the year, I remember they played, and the Giants went up pretty steep, like maybe like 20-3 or something like that. The Eagles wound up coming back and winning, but it's a division game. They're usually a little bit closer than that, and the Eagles haven't really given anyone any reason to think that they can beat anyone by 10, let alone beat anyone right now. So 9.5 for the Giants seems pretty fair.
Mm-hmm. And then I am going to take. It seems like it's a pick 'em everywhere I'm seeing it. I'm going to take the Seahawks beating the Rams.
Ooh, a little your hometown. So is it like is Chargers Rams like Yankees Mets yet?
Raiders are still the most popular team in Los Angeles. So
I'm
yeah.
surprised.
Yeah, I just think that Seahawks are going to blitz Goff, and anytime Goff is blitzed, last week he did fine, but that was in a get right spot. Everybody knew to play him. Arizona, everybody can pass against Arizona. So I think that I'm going to take Russell Wilson on the road in a pick'em game. I'll take the better quarterback. And even though the Rams are desperate, I think Seattle wins.
He's unbelievable, Russell Wilson.
Yep, he's not the MVP. Remember, we are both Lamar fans.
No, we like Lamar more than Russell Wilson.
We are Team Lamar, but Russ Wilson is.
Lamar is in a tough spot this week. Honestly though, I think they're just gonna run all over him.
That game is really weird. I don't know. I feel like it could be a coming out party for Josh Allen, or it could be you're a little bit further back in the line than you thought. Like, you know what I mean? Like he passed the first test last week. Dallas, his first primetime game.
And remember for Lamar's sake, you're making your GBP lineups. Mm-hmm. This is one of the guys that was drafted ahead of him in the draft.
Nice. So yes.
Definitely something to think about. I like those little narratives, and he's been just proving everyone wrong so far. And you think the Bills would have taken Lamar Jackson over Josh Allen? How different of a team they would be right now with how much they love to run the ball, So it's going to be interesting. Over under the two of them combining for 170 rushing yards. Allen and Jackson.
2-1. Even odds. I think they're both going to. You know why? That I think I think Lamar's going to be Lamar and get at least 80 to 90 to 100. And then I feel like the Bills are going to get down and
he's going to try and keep up.
Exactly. Allen's going to make a couple mistakes. He's going to be late. He's going to be running around for his life. So the thing about it is I just don't think I think if you played Allen, you'd play him naked because it's kind of hard to see. Like, I think that John Brown's going to be locked down by Marcus Peters, and then Humphrey's going to be on Beasley.
Yeah. What happened with Humphrey? Didn't he kind of get hurt the other day?
Check that out.
Saw him walking off the field. I don't remember. I haven't followed up on it at all.
So, but it's going to be an interesting game. It's going to be definitely an interesting week. Be sure to get a day pass. Be sure to join the nation and check out the NFL Wise stream that's on Saturdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, featuring Pauly D, my boy CK. So I hope our producer's ready because I'm closing up the shop. And as for week 14, we only got 3 more weeks left, and then it's actually the season's over. The season just rolls on by. It's gonna be Christmas before you know it, and we'll just chilling.
NBA slate dropped on DraftKings, $25 entry, like $1 million to first. Honestly, I wish they would take that million and just split it up between the rest of the places and give $100K to first. But DFS, hopefully one of us wins that.
Before we leave, when I started playing DFS, there was always the big thing is, are you going to play the Thursday night slate? Are you going to play any of the players in the Thursday night slate? Now, do you notice nobody ever talks about that anymore? Well, you want to know what?
Yeah, because remember when when we started and you'd play somebody from the Thursday slate, you could see who everybody else was playing for the rest of the games for the rest of the week. So you could kind of get like a glimpse at what ownership was. And I remember one day I was at the airport and I was checking my MLB lineup and it didn't tell me what my lineup's ownership percentage was for the later game. And that's when they just like changed that and it just since.
Yeah, and I also think like the evolution of the single game.
Yeah, the single game too.
People will just play the single game and they'll just fade the slate and not even play it anymore because I have not played one Thursday night slate all year. I just wait for the Sunday slate.
Yeah, man, me too. Yeah. And it used to be the edge was people would just only play the Thursday night slate because they wanted to have action. They were sitting at the bar drinking with their friends. They wanted some sort of action on the game, so they just throw in a lineup. So you had players in that game that had no business being like 30% owned, being 50% owned, so you can get the rest of the guys playing on Sunday coming in super cheap. So I actually kind of missed that, but I've been having most of my success with single games, so I am not gonna complain about it.
Nice, and this is then your busy season because we got the playoffs coming up, and you got single games every single game. It's awesome.
Wait,
so. Be sure to join the nation. We got Scribeezy writing those articles. Or do you write like every game, or what games you can, or do you pick one, or what's the deal?
No, so I for like the first half of the season, I was doing all the showdown articles, but now Wanban's doing them. I'm doing the Friday, Saturday, Sunday NBA slate.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, those.
You want to hit me up on Twitter for any showdown stuff? Mm-hmm. I've been dominating those
because there's definite like strategy to it, like who you put in the captain's seat and stuff like that. Like I've never really played it, so it's definite. I've heard that there's strategy in who you want to put in the captain's seat. You don't just put the most obvious play because they're going to be the highest owned and such like that. Am I right?
Yeah. Like I don't know how it got overlooked, but that Holtz guy played like 50% of the snaps, and he was only $200 on DraftKings tonight.
I'm looking at the lineup that won the $9 99,000 man single entry tourney, the showdown. With 112 points, he had Trubisky, the captain's seat, with Robinson, Gallup, and then you had Holtz as the last guy. So, and he won $48,000. So, it's very nice. Oh, $9. So, anyways, guys, that's going to do it for the week NFL podcast. Be sure to join, like I said, CK and Paulie T for the Wise stream on Saturday. So, for Scribeezy, I'm Patio Joe, and it says in the back. Good. Are we good, James Brown, with the blanket on? We good? Close it up. Yeah. Meatloaf. The meatloaf.